Giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace and safety and much blessings to the occupants pushing this truth out of the four corners of the earth in all truth and sincerity and dealing in shalom. And I just want to just go into this comment. This is a video that the elder apostle Tahar put up, I believe, earlier. Well, 22 hours ago. So it was yesterday, and he was going with this guy right here, which I believe through the spirit that he is a Jake. Elder Apostle Tahar said the same thing. You can see on this shirt, he got the name of the Lord right here. But, and right here, the way how he look is a stumbling block to a lot of Israelites. And you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's a stumbling block to a lot of Israelites. And, you all only black Israelites. You only you have to so-called be black, just be black to be Israelites. You don't understand the variety of the Lord. You don't understand the spirit of the Lord. You're not spiritual, right? Matter of fact, we can start with that. 1 Corinthians, I believe that's what that is. 2:15. It says, I'm gonna start at 13. It says, I'm gonna start at 12. There's no man of the Spirit of God. Maybe that's what I was looking for. Okay. But look, I'm gonna just read 10 right quick. But the Most High had revealed them unto us by His Spirit, right? For the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of the Most High. And to understanding, the mystery of Gentiles, right? Of the Gentiles, and knowing, the Spirit has to be dealing with you to understand the Gentiles. Because you have two type of Gentiles. You got the heathen Gentiles and you got the Israelite foreigner Gentiles. All right. See, we were once Gentiles. We was Gentiles in our mind. Now, I look like, what you would describe as an Israelite. All right. But you're gonna have Israelites that's not gonna have woolly hair. You're gonna have Israelites that's gonna have skin like Esau Edom, which is the so-called white man, whose blood is gonna show through their skin. They're gonna have Israelites that's gonna have blue eyes, blonde hair, right? They're gonna look like the other nations. Now that would be part of the deep things. That's part of the mystery, okay? For what man knoweth the things of a man? For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of a man which is in him? Even so, the things of the Most High knoweth no man, but the spirit of the Most High. Well, let me just jump down to the part. Verse 14. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit of the Most High, for they are foolish unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. Okay? So you have people that are spiritually discerned to understand the fact that the Israelites, we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right? So we've mixed and mingled with the other nations. Okay? So we're not going to look like how we did, when we were, originally, formed. We're not going to look like how we were in our glory, if you will, as a nation. You know what I mean? If you will, Lord willing, that makes sense. We're going to look like the other nations. Our children are going to have features of the other nations. You're going to have Israelites that look like Moabites, going to look like Chinese. You're going to have Israelites that look like Arabs. You're going to have Israelites that look like, Africans. You're going to have Israelites, of all different shapes, forms, and colors, if you will. Okay? So going back to Elder Apostle Tahar video, this guy right here, when you watch this video, he does make, he says a few things, lining up with the spirit, He believes that we're the Israelites, but he says the name wrong, you know what I mean? You can tell that he has a zeal, right? He has a zeal towards the Lord, so, and like I say, like what we say, most of the times when the Edomite hit his word or a heathen hit his word, they cast it away. You know, here it is. I'm not gonna say he's in the true doctrine, but the things that he says line up with with the spirit. Some of the things that we say. Okay. But this is more so not about the video. This is the fact that he looks the way he look. And what I'm about to show you is that you have a lot of Israelites that think like this, all right? Because they can't get over the fact that you got Israelites that's going to look like, a heathen, man. Because you looking at this man for face value. See, this is why the scripture says, judge not according to the outer appearance of a man, okay? Because you can look one way, but your spirit, you can look like a heathen, but your spirit is of, an Israelite, in which I believe that this brother is an Israelite. Okay. I mean, he's not teaching, the true doctrine of the Lord, but he has that zeal towards Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which he does not use the correct names. Let me say that again. And if he is, may the Lord, send him the true doctrine of the Lord. May the Lord, wake him up and give him the true names and the true doctrine. But this is what I wanted to get into right here. This is what the only comment. I didn't see all of these comments right here, but this is the comment that I want to hone in on, because a lot of Israelites think like this, and this is a real juvenile, how we call it, handicapped spiritual handicap. Okay, person to think like this, because look what this is a she, right? Because when you go to this person's page, right, this look like a woman. Insomnia slaying 79. Nothing up here, but got a lot to say. You know what I mean? Got a point to make.
Praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem.
So when we go down to the comment, look what this person says. Y'all think everyone Israelites if they agree with you. Now that's an adolescent thing to say. That's a person. Look, first of all, she's not supposed to be on the comment board, but you know Jake, and a lot of Jakes think like this. If they agree with her, okay, they can look like a heathen, but if they agree with us, if they don't agree with us, oh, you'll call them a Edomite. No, that's not how we roll. By the things that you say, the spirit that you come in, you can look like an Edomite and still disagree with us, but your spirit will say something different. That just because you disagree doesn't mean that you an Edomite. Or just because, what about a Jake, right? A person that look like Jacob. When we say Jake, we talking about so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. You can come looking like us, and if you disagree, we're not gonna just say, oh, that's a rebellious Israelite. No, you could be a chocolate-covered Edomite. You can be. You're not excluded from being an Edomite just because you got melanin in your skin. You see? So we're not respected as a person here. So it says, y'all think everyone Israelites if they agree with you. Now, that's not true. And I'm going to show you in the scriptures how that's not true. No, not all the time, but it takes a very spiritual person to comprehend the Bible through the elect. So true. So this person here agreed with this person. I don't really understand what he's talking about. But y'all think everyone Israelites if they agree with y'all. No, we don't. You see, because it's incidents in the scriptures where heathens agreed. And brothers don't say, oh, I believe that this person was an Israelite, and I'll show you. Let's go to Daniel's, the 2nd chapter. This is Daniel's 2 and 46. And the king Nebuchadnezzar, see, because Daniel called back his dream to him. When Nebuchadnezzar, when his I'm gonna say sorcerers and and his wise men couldn't call back the dream that he had, right? Daniel did. Daniel told him his dream, right? And that's spiritual powers right there. For you to dream something, forget about it, and go to a man and he tell you what you dream, you're like, that's exactly what I dreamed. That was nothing but the spirit of the Lord. But look, this is Daniel's 2 and 46. Then Nebuchadnezzar fell on his face and worshiped Daniel and commanded that he should offer an oblation and sweet odors to him. And the king answered to Daniel and said, of a truth it is, that your God is a God of gods and the Lord of kings and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. So Nebuchadnezzar agreed that Yahweh is the true mighty power. You see? This heathen agreed that, hey, that the Lord is the Lord of kings, the revealer of secrets, seeing that thou couldst reveal this secret. And then what he did, you know, he made Daniel a great man and gave him many different gifts and things like that, right? Promoted him, like it says right here. So Nebuchadnezzar, which is a heathen, agreed. Which Nebuchadnezzar was an Assyrian, I believe. He confessed that your power is the power of powers, God of gods, placing Yahweh above all gods, right? And the Lord of kings and the revealer of secrets. This is what this heathen said. So do brothers go around teaching that Nebuchadnezzar might be a Jake? No, not at all. So this comment that this person left is very juvenilish, and that shows that that person doesn't have the spirit. Okay, just because you agree with us doesn't make you an Israelite. Check it out. Let's go to another chapter in Daniel, Daniel 6 and 26. Okay, so this is when Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. But look what he said. Daniel was thrown in the lion's den, and Daniel was supposed to be devoured by these lions. But the Lord shut the mouth of these lions up, because the Lord was with Daniel. And look what he said. Look what the king said. I make a decree that in every dominion in my kingdom men tremble and fear before the power of Daniel. Just like this heathen. That's not this heathen, Salaki. Just like this guy that looks like a heathen. You know, I believe he's Jake, you know. But he's saying, like, look, man, I believe that, you know, these are the Israelites that, you know, he even said in this video that he seen in his dream, he seen they was doing wickedness. He was like, Lord, please kill these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Only Israelites gonna think like that because they want to get rid of wickedness, man. So like I say, Lord willing that the Lord give this guy his true name, because, hey, man, we do this for the elect, man. We don't, it's not, man, I don't want him to get it. If you think like that because you wicked, I don't want him to get it. You don't know who the elect is. We do this out of the fear because, Lord willing, we of the elect, and we do this because the Lord tell us to feed his sheep, man, to seal the elect. The elect gonna look like, you know, all the nations, man. Okay? The elect gonna come, I'm not saying the whole elect gonna look like that. The elect gonna come looking like the other nations. Some of the elect will, man. Okay? But it says what? Fear, right? It says, in fear before the power of Daniel, for he is the living power and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. So, look what he's saying. Look what King Darius is saying. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, right? Okay? Look at that. You see? He said, look, fear before the power of Daniel. So he agreed that this is the power that we should fear. Right? He's agreeing. Is brothers teaching that Darius is an Israelite? Is brothers teaching that Darius could be of the tribes? Not at all. Okay? And that just goes back to understanding the Gentiles and not, because you offended in Yahweh Shai, you got a problem with the way a man or a woman look. And that's going to be a problem with a lot of I say so-called Israelite women. You so-called Israelite women. And I say so-called because it's more than just putting on a head wrap, saying the name of the Lord, and wearing a dress. Okay? It's more than that. You have to be renewed in your mind and in your spirit and understand where we at in captivity and what has happened to us as a nation. Okay? So you're gonna have Israelites that's going to look like the other nations, okay? And you're gonna have Israelite these so-called Israelite women that's you're gonna see brothers dealing with, you know, Israelite women that look like Esau, that look like Ishmael, that look like Elam, that look like Ham, okay, that look like Moab, that look like Ammon, okay, Assur, and all these different other nations, man. Okay, you're going to see that, and you cannot be offended, and because the Lord will get your ass up out of there, bro. So Darius agreed. Are we teaching that? Not at all. Here's another one. Ruth, right? Look what Ruth said. Ruth was a Moabite, but look what Ruth said. Verse 14. Okay, and this is when Naomi, right? Uh, let me see. I'm gonna start at 11. And Naomi said, "Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there any more sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Turn again, because Naomi, man, grant you that Egypt. I forgot. Was it a son? Her sons died. Man, let me see. Okay, and Elimelech's Naomi's husband died. Right? She was left, and she was left, and her two sons, and they took them away. I haven't read this in a minute. Okay. Okay, and one died also, both of them. The one was left and her two sons. One was left of her two sons. Yeah, so her husband died and her sons died. Okay? So look what Ruth said, man. Let's go right here. Okay. Verse 12. Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they are grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. Look what Ruth said, this Moabite. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth claved unto her, right? Ruth claved unto her and said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is going back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And look what Ruth said. So she left, but look what Ruth said. Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. Whether thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy power shall be my power. So Ruth was saying, hey, said, thy people shall be my people, and thy power shall be my power. Where thou diest, I will die, and where thou be buried, and where thou will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if art but death. Salaki, I'm tripping. Let me slow down. Verse 17. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. Okay? So Ruth was saying, look, wherever you go, I'm going to go. Your people are my people. And thy power, my power. Okay, so is brothers teaching that Ruth is an Israelite because she said your power is my power? No, she just was conforming to the Israelite way. She was converting to the Israelite way, man. She didn't. She understood her place. So his brothers teaching her because she agreed that her power is her power, and her people is our. You know what I'm saying? No, and brothers is not teaching that Ruth is an Israelite. Because even whenever you go into it, when Ruth bare the son, you know, it was said that Naomi bare the son. Okay, you gotta look that up. You gotta read that. You gotta read. This is a good read right here. Okay, but nobody's saying that. See, but the thing is that when you see comments like this, it's because this person is offended that the Israelites are gonna look like the other nations. Y'all think everyone Israelites if they agree with y'all? No, no, not at all. Just like when we don't just say if a so-called black man come up and disagree with us, oh he a rebellious Jake. Nah, nigga, you could be a chocolate covered Edomite. Get your ass, okay? Because that's what the scripture means that the Lord is gonna separate the wheat from the tares, okay? The wheat from the tares. You got people in the wheat being, of the nation of Israel, the tares being you can look like the nation of Israel, but you're not of that stock. Okay? Just like you can look like an Edomite, but you're not of Edom. You know? That's why it's scriptures like you gotta try the spirit by the spirit. That is Romans 8:16. It says, the Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. So what's the Spirit? This is the Spirit. Watch this. So what you mean the Spirit bear witness? How the Spirit bear witness? What you mean the Spirit bear witness? You got to figure out what the Spirit is. All right. This is John 6:63. It is the Spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profited nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Okay? So these words that the Lord speak unto us is spirit. It's the spirit. It says the spirit quickeneth, which means the word quickeneth means to make alive. So it's the spirit of the Lord. See, because if you had a body with no spirit in it, you would just be dead. So the flesh profit nothing. So it's the spirit that make you alive. Now you could be a living, breathing individual, but if you don't have the spirit of the Lord, which is this understanding, you're considered as dead. Okay, so that's why this spirit. That's why the scripture says that it is the words that I speak unto you. They are spirit and they are life. All right. So the fact that this person here is saying that, hey, y'all think everyone, and look all 4 people like this. So you got 4 individuals out there that's spiritually discerned. 5, including this guy, because I don't really know what this guy means right here. 5, and there's more. So no, you like I said, you have to understand the history to understand the mystery. All right, the Israelites are gonna come looking like this guy here. All right, the hell, they're gonna come looking like this guy. You see, and then you got these weirdos down here. He doesn't say anything about Mexicans or Indians. You always like to add that stuff. He ain't look. He ain't gotta say that. Because listen, he don't understand that yet. But you can tell he got a zeal. But the so-called Mexicans and Indians are of the nation of Israel, and we've done videos on this. We've broke this down. It's artifacts. I mean, it's things that we brothers has done videos on it, man. All right, I'm not finna do a. That's a whole nother lesson, man. Which I've done this. I've done a lesson on the tribe of Gad. I've done a lesson on the tribe of Issachar. Okay, so you just ain't got to understand it, man. And you gonna have Judah being woke. See, and you gonna have Israelites that's going to say that's the Mexicans and Indians, because what he's saying, which I gather, he doesn't say anything about Mexicans or Indians. You like to you always like to add that stuff. See, he don't believe that the Mexicans and the Indians, so-called Mexicans and Indians, are Israelites. Well, that's all right though, because he's gonna see, he's gonna find out. after he probably eat a missile. All right? Then he's going to be in his right mind. Okay? So, you know, you're going to have Israelites that's going to look like this guy, man. All right? And like I said, I believe through the spirit that this guy is a Jake, you know. So it ain't about what you look like, man. All right, and we don't teach just you. Oh, we don't look for yes men. We're not looking for men. Oh, if you agree with us, you an Israelite. You know what I mean? Nah, you can agree with us and still be an Edomite. Okay, what does that mean? You can agree with us and still be an Edomite. You can come looking like a so-called black man, agree with us, and still be an Edomite. Okay? That's why this thing is all about the spirit, man. It's all about the spirit. Nothing physical here. So with that, man, Lord willing, you are edified. Shalom.